Good morning, my name's Bacon Steve, my affectionately called Bacon Steve, and I'm doing a daily vlog on life in the lockdown in New Zealand due to the COVID-19 virus. Because I make bacon, which is an essential food, very essential, I'm still allowed to operate, although under very, very strict conditions. Only one person in the processing area at any one time. So unfortunately the part-time staff aren't getting much work at the moment. I've still got the butcher doing the skinning of the pork for me, but apart from that, at the moment it's all down to me. Now when I say all down to me, the workload is not horrendous, because obviously a lot of the outlets that I had before, the bacon butty shop, the farmer's market, etc, etc, that equated to more than half of my income. And of course I don't have to make bacon for the butty shop, and I don't have to make the sausages for the market, and I don't have to make the extra bacon for the market. Any extra bacon I make is now going to the stores because it's flying off the shelves faster than you can say bacon and eggs for breakfast. And I think with the lockdown, I didn't realise, but obviously with the lockdown a lot of people are at home, so they're probably having a lot more cooked breakfast than they used to. Used to be, didn't it? It used to be a Sunday thing, you know, compulsory to have your bacon and eggs on a Sunday. Well, every day's like a Sunday now, isn't it? Here's Rio. He didn't get his walk out here yesterday, so he was very anxious to not let me go to work without his walk first today. There's one thing I'm doing which I could have actually made a lot of money if I wanted to, because the amount of bacon that's going off the shelves is faster than I can make it. But being a boutique business and just being on my own at the moment, I've kept the orders of the pork exactly the same as what they were before. It means when I put it on the shelf, 40 packets of bacon on the supermarket shelf or the local Foursquare in the village, it's basically gone the next day or the day after. But I won't be doing another delivery. Mostly the supermarkets, it's just once a week, and the smaller store in the village, I'm keeping him stocked as much as possible because he's local and I know all the locals around here. Yeah, so this is my neighbourhood. This is where I live on this dirt road, 10 minutes out of Matakana. But yeah, so I've got to go down to work and cut and pack. I'm going to try and cut and pack today everything I've got left, so then I can just whip in there and get deliveries for the local Foursquare. If there's enough there, I'll try and get a delivery for the New World supermarket and Walkwith today, but I'm not sure how much I've got left. A few people have taken a while to notice. I mean, what's it been? In terms of the videos, this is the 11th one, so 11 days. No beard. Took some people noticed straight away. It's quite interesting. Some people didn't even notice until they were told by other people. But the beard's off. The beard's been there for what, 5 years? I call beards virus catchers now, so mine got shaved off. I think it was the day before or 2 days before I started the video, so about 11 or 12 days ago. And this is what I used to look like. Pretty horrendous, eh? But I think it makes me look younger, not having a beard. I always used to joke with people that living up here in Matakana, rurally, it was mandatory for all men to have a beard. I'll be heading down to the village soon, and I'll get the camera out. I'll get the camera out again. Oh, that sun's really bright. I'll get the camera out again because there's a few facts I've been researching that are positive. So I'm going to share some good positive news with you. See you in a bit. Hi guys, I'm at work on a tea break. Cup of Rosie Lee, Sergeant Major. That means a cup of tea, mate. Cup of tea. So I couldn't think of a lot of things to do for the footage for today. But I did come across this morning I've mentioned this guy before to you, Dr John Campbell from the UK, who puts out a daily vlog, sometimes 2 or 3 a day, on the latest statistics and all that sort of stuff. And he's got epidemiology background, so he knows what he's talking about. But he shared his video today, was sharing some really good news, and it's a model done by the Imperial College of London, and he claims that's the uppermost modelling scientist that you can get, and they've done a whole study on 11 countries. So instead of me just talking about it, I thought I'd just show you the video. Now it's a little bit long. I've managed to edit it down. It was about 18 minutes long at the start, but I've cut it right back, so it's not too long. I think about 7 or 8 minutes. Watch it right to the end, because that's the really good news at the end.
So the proviso is it's modelling, but it's probably the best modelling in the world that we've got at the moment. And as we'll see, I think there's some good news here. The paper is estimating the number of infections and the impact of non-pharmaceutical interventions. So that's what this lockdown measure is. It's a non-pharmaceutical intervention. We are intervening in the pandemic without giving pharmaceuticals, without giving drugs. On COVID-19, and this is a European study based on 11 European countries, and it was published on the 30th of March. Now, the countries they're considering are Austria, Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, Norway, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. So these 11 European countries. And they start off by noting what you've probably already noticed already. European countries have got unprecedented non-pharmacological, non-pharmaceutical interventions. So this is the lockdown that the vast majority of us are living through at the moment. And it takes data from countries with more advanced epidemics. So the epidemic in Spain and Italy, which are subcomponents of the overall global pandemic, are more advanced than in other countries. And there's a lot we can learn from those countries. Now, slowing growth in daily reported deaths in Italy is the result of interventions implemented several weeks earlier. Now, we have been saying this for some days, but it's always good to get this verified by proper scientific mathematical modelling by the people that are best in the world at this thing. Now, Italy, the R0, they think was close to 1 around the time of the lockdown. So when the lockdown started, they think the R0, actually what they actually called this was the RT, to be precise, the reproductive index at a particular period of time, but it means much the same thing really. So remember, we need the R0 to be less than 1. So we looked at this yesterday. Take R0 to less than 1 for the crisis to be done. So if the R0 is less than 1, then each infected person is on average infecting less than one other person, and the number of infected people will go down. Therefore, the number of hospitalised patients will go down. Therefore, the number of deaths will go down as well. So they're estimating it was close to R0 at the time of the lockdown. So was close to 1, so around 1 at that time. Interventions in 11 countries have averted 59,000 deaths up to the 31st of March, according to their modelling. So what they're saying is here, well, we have an appalling death rate in Europe, and there's no question about that. But they're saying that with their models, if there hadn't been these non-pharmaceutical interventions, the lockdown, and to some extent the testing, although most of the benefit we're seeing now is as a result of the lockdown, not so much the testing, because many countries don't have enough testing. So without these measures, an extra 59,000 deaths would have occurred in these 11 European countries up until the 31st of March. And then, of course, that would greatly accelerate, because often you see the number of deaths doubling every few days, probably every 3 days without these interventions. Now, between 7 and 43 million individuals have been infected up to the 28th of March. Now, this was a bit of a bombshell for me, really. What they're saying is, according to their modelling, in these 11 European countries, between 7 and 43 million individuals have been infected up to the 28th of March. Just let that sink in a bit. It makes the official numbers look farcical, the numbers identified by confirmed testing. And this actually equates to, and this is quite incredible, 1.88 and 11.43% of the population of these 11 European countries have already been infected. And this sounds alarming, but actually this could be really good news, because it could mean that a lot of these people have had very minor symptoms and haven't been hospitalised or died. Now, we know a frightening amount of people have been hospitalised and died and are very sick. But if there's huge more numbers that have been infected, then that will bring the percentage of those with complications way down. And I'll give you some examples of that in a minute. So it could be that this is the most encouraging paper I've read for some time, to be quite honest. So that was the report from the best epidemiological mathematical modelers probably in the world. Now this is some thinking from me. Now the population of Italy is about 60.4 million. So let's say it's a 60 million population in Italy. Now that means if these figures are correct, and 1.88% of the population of Italy has already been infected, that is 1,128,000 people have already been infected in Italy. That's a big number. It's way, way bigger than the number of official confirmed cases in Italy. Now, the deaths of today, the Thursday, the 2nd of April in Italy, I'm sad to announce is, according to Johns Hopkins, 13,115. But if we relate that figure, 13115, to this figure, 112,800, relate that to that figure, times that by 100 to get the percentage, then that gives us a percentage. So that is 1.66% of that. 13,115, according to my calculations, is 1.16% of 1,128,000. So rather than these horrendous death rates we've been looking at Italy, around about the 10% mark, if this modelling from Imperial College London is correct, that would mean that the death rate in Italy is much nearer the 1% we would be expecting. So that is... Now, I know when I've been calculating these figures, I've said, look, we don't believe the death rate in Italy is 9% or 10% or whatever it was on that day. But this is kind of a more firmer foundation for that. But let's suppose the imperial upper figure was correct. 11.43% of the population is already infected. That would mean that the vast majority of people in Italy are getting a very mild course of illness and are not being hospitalised and are not dying. And 11.43% of the 60 million population of Italy, according to my calculation, is just under 7 million people. So if there's that many deaths, there's 13,115 deaths in 6,858,000 people, then clearly that is a much smaller percentage of that number. And I work that out at 0.2% case fatality rate.
So that's really good news, isn't it? That's fantastic news. So, you know, we're getting bombarded with statistics at the moment. Then you look at the figures out of Italy and you think, oh my God, it's like a 10% death rate. Why have they got a 10% death rate? It's so dangerous. But to see that the death rate could be somewhere between 0.2 and what do you have, 1.16? Much, much better. And the amount of people that they estimate, I mean, I know it's a broad spectrum because they've had to use modelling, but it's still great news and means what we're doing. Don't forget, this study was only based on the effects of the lockdown. So what we're doing is going to work. It's really giving me confidence this is going to work. So anyway, I just thought unusual for me to do a video like that. Let's not get into a discussion in the comments on the wheres and wherefores of this data. Just take it for it is. I'm no expert, I'm just watching other people like that, don't want to get into a discussion about whether it's worse than the flu or this or that, and like carry on, or whether we're overdoing it or all that sort of stuff. We just have to go there's nothing we can do. Like I've said before, you know, it is what it is, so we just got to make the most of it. But I hope you enjoyed that, and put a big smile on my face. See you tomorrow.